Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, panel members, let me add my welcome to this celebration. I now invite our panelists to please come and take their seats on the podium, on the stage here. That's not any particular order, it's the order in which they will speak. As Anil mentioned to you, the Mahatma Gandhi Society was founded in 1986 by Bishop George Thackeray as a fellowship of those who esteem Gandhian thought and principles of action. And later on might have a chance to introduce to you Bishop Thackeray, who has striven to carry on with this society over these years. It is appropriate that on this day we remind ourselves of these words of Albert Einstein. He said about Gandhi, "Generations to come will scarcely believe that such a one as this walked the earth in flesh and blood." Mahatma Gandhi has left a legacy that will sustain for many years, perhaps centuries. His thoughts and principles have timeless relevance for the human civilization. But ever more than present. It is therefore only fitting that we discuss these principles and ponder over what they mean for our world. To assist in our contemplation, we have four eminent speakers, all admirers of Gandhi and scholars of Gandhian thought. I will suitably introduce the speakers as they present their views. Gandhi's personality had multiple dimensions: a scholar, a political leader, a social worker, and a humanist. It is for this reason that you discover that the talks this afternoon will cover a number of diverse aspects and what Gandhiji's contribution was to each of them. Dr. Trichur Rukmini will speak of the landmarks in Gandhiji's life where he demonstrated his unstinted support for the twin principles of truth and nonviolence. Dr. Richard Mann will speak on how the media functions and Gandhi's skills in enlisting the media in promoting the cause of Satyagraha. Dr. Somesh Bhargav will explain how Gandhi's approach to life and vision of his beloved India, or Bharat, was influenced by its Vedantic philosophy and more specifically by the Bhakti movement of the 14th to 17th century. Finally, Dr. Noel Salmon will provide some insight into how Gandhi has been an inspiration to environmentalists. It is my task at this time to make a few brief remarks about the relevance of Gandhi and his most important principles in today's world. At the advent of the 21st century, we are witness to a civilization which is mired in strife, violence, and bloodshed. Wars between nation states were common, but violence has now penetrated insidiously among individuals, groups, and communities. The influence of perverted religious passions stalks our society, fanning the fires of bigotry, intolerance, bloodshed, and war. Sectarian and communal violence goes on all over the world. The conflicts are bloodier, and the parties more intransigent, less willing to resolve their differences. In this landscape filled with gloom, the principles that Mahatma Gandhi enunciated are more relevant than ever. Gandhiji's life and his personality were multifaceted. He was a practical idealist and a visionary. The essence of Gandhian thought could be summarized in three words: truth, nonviolence, and satyagraha. Gandhi recognized that truth and reality were manifold, highly complex, and pluralistic. One's view of reality was but one aspect of it, based on the individual's own belief and experiences. There could exist other views and experiences that were equally valid. The whole truth was a synthesis of these individual experiences. In other words, no one had a monopoly on truth. Truth as perceived by an individual is only a relative truth. To Gandhi, absolute truth was God. And throughout his life, he strived to seek that truth. Gandhi's conception of truth rejects cultural regimentation and dogma and fosters tolerance, respect for another point of view, and a healthy spirit of sympathetic understanding, reconciliation, cooperation, and coexistence. Gandhi recognized that violence could not resolve conflict. It only promoted further violence. Brute force never achieved lasting peace. But like truth, Gandhi's conception of non-violence was also dynamic. It was an aesthetic approach. Non-violence was not a mere passive abstention from injury to others, but a positive quality based on love for all. Gandhi fervently embraced the idea of universal well-being, or sarvodaya. Universal love demanded a desire to serve and a willingness to sacrifice. Gandhi's path of non-violence was not an instrument of the weak or the timid, but a path of courage and fortitude. And Gandhi's life provided the most vivid demonstration of that fact. The dual concepts of truth and love are the cornerstones of Gandhian thought. To me, said Gandhi, and I quote, God is truth and love. God is ethics and morality. God is fearlessness. God is the source of light and life. He had a firm belief that truth, love, and morality were not just virtues to be practiced by individuals, but also the attributes that should guide the affairs and actions of groups and communities and nations. And they should be the foundations upon which the social and political institutions were built. Gandhi was also steadfast in his belief that injustice, tyranny, and oppression should not be tolerated. But the means that you use to resist these evils could not involve violence, because that would be confronting an evil with another evil. The struggle against injustice and tyranny ought to be based on the ethical and moral principle of truth and love. Gandhi devised a unique instrument for his struggle against injustice, which he called Satyagraha, meaning insistence on truth, or holding on to truth. Satyagraha involves civil resistance and non-cooperation. Since the resistor must abide by ethical and moral values, a Satyagrahi, while being determined, dedicated, courageous, and fearless, should be prepared to accept truth, if there is any, in the oppressor's point of view. He or she should renounce all self-interest and not harbor any ill will toward the opponent. Now, these are all utopian dreams, one would say. Many argue that the Gandhian principles of non-violence, love, and satyagraha are irrelevant in today's world. Simply dreams. However, there are countless examples which show the futility of this argument. Events in the Middle East today and other parts of the world have shown that brute force, war, killing, and destruction do not solve any problem. On the contrary, they cause suffering to the innocent, alienate the population, exacerbate the hatred, and perpetuate the cycle of strife and bloodshed. The non-violent civil rights movements of blacks in the United States under the leadership of Martin Luther King, the non-violent revolution against the dictatorship of Marcos in the Philippines, the solidarity movement of Poland, and the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa provide examples of the peaceful application of the principles of Satyagraha. And these are modern examples. What is most interesting is that in each of these cases where this instrument has been used, there was little hate and rancor left in the wake of the movement. On the other hand, the violent and armed resistance in Middle East and in other parts of the world has scarcely achieved its aim, leaving a legacy of hate, anger, and passivity of despair. In the words of Nehru, uttered at the departure of Mahatma Gandhi, and he said, "The light is gone, yet it will shine for 1,000 years," unquote. And as Martin Luther King observed during a visit to India, if the humanity is to progress, Gandhi is inescapable. He lived, thought, and acted inspired by the vision of humanity, evolving toward a world of peace and harmony. We may ignore him only at our own risk. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was my short brief remarks about the relevance of Gandhian thought. I was told to speak a few words about this. I'll now like to invite the speakers one at a time. It's my great pleasure to invite Dr. Trichy Rukmani as the first speaker. Dr. Rukmani is the professor and chair of Hindu Studies at Concordia University. Before joining Concordia, she was the chair for Hindu Studies and Indian Philosophy at the University of Durban in Westville, Durban, South Africa. Dr. Rukmani has had a distinguished academic record and holds a D.Lit and a PhD in Sanskrit from Delhi University. She has been teaching and researching mainly in the areas of Hinduism, Advaita Vedanta, and Sankhya Yoga for the past 40 years. Amongst the many awards that Rukmani has won are award by Mandakini Sanskrit Research Organization for excellence in Sanskrit research, fellowship at the Indian Institute of Advanced Study in Shimla, India, and the Delhi Sanskrit Academy Award for Sanskrit Scholarship. Her 6 volumes of work related to yoga are widely acclaimed in scholarly circles as significant contributions to the furtherance of yoga philosophy. And she has written and edited 6 other books dealing with different aspects of religion and philosophy. I could go on, but I'll stop here, rather give the time to the speakers, and I'll urge the speakers to restrain themselves to about 20 minutes so that we have time for questions at the end of the 4 speeches. Dr. Rukmani will speak on Gandhiji's ideals, truth and nonviolence. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Rukmani.